Hello and welcome to your IBM I update for March and early April 2024. A snapshot of news and views on what's been happening in the IBM I community for the past few weeks as reported by Proximity, your premier partner for IBM solutions, support and development. So, in the middle of March, we enjoyed the UK's IBM I Conference South. This single-streamed, well-attended event included some informative sessions including seamless IBM I data movement and positioning IBM I development languages. Hosted by IBM London in their rather plush South Bank setting, the event started with the obligatory bacon butties and an introduction and update from IUG chairman Mike Ryan before moving into the main topic of the event, programming options on the IBM I. In this session, IBM I champion Andy Owens provided his take on today's programming options on IBM I. He began by providing the open source options from 1988, starting with the Java toolbox. It took another 18 years for when the next significant open source language, PHP, was added in 2006. This was followed by Ruby in 2013, Node.js in 2014, and Python and R in 2015. Of these 6 languages, Andy provided his views on the good and the bad of each. He started with Ruby, and initially all was positive. Andy explained that while high level, its syntax is simple and easy to learn, and it comes with an extensive collection of libraries and frameworks. However, Andy also believed that the language is largely a failed experiment. Why? Well, there are some limitations on IBM I that would make it difficult to implement and frustrating to use. As its object-oriented language, it isn't as intuitive to learn if you're an RPGer. Ruby was deemed a bad choice. Next up is Java. Andy explained that Java improved on Ruby in compatibility alone, with the license being shipped with the system and including a compelling and complete developer kit. However, Java does come with its own issues, which limits its functionality and flexibility. The support for low-level programming and system access, the support for direct memory access or native data types such as packed and zoned decimals were a few that Andy mentioned. But perhaps its biggest flaw, Andy suggested, was with security vulnerabilities, and then more security vulnerabilities. R was mentioned too, which was nice, as frankly I'd never heard of this before. But it's been available on IBM I since 2015, and it's an open source language used for statistical computing and graphical visualization of data. So perfect for a green on black environment then. Now, as you would expect, the language has not been widely adopted, and as a result, resource and knowledge base are limited. Okay, so it's safe to say that Andy didn't recommend the first 3 presented. So what were the open source languages Andy thought were good? Well, first we have Python. Andy explained that it's a simple and readable syntax that runs on many platforms and enjoys a vibrant and active community too. But perhaps most compelling of all was the fact that Python would allow you to write programs with fewer lines of code. Andy went on to provide examples of code that demonstrated its simplicity and readability. I mean, if I can read it, it tells you that it doesn't take a programming genius to tell you what a Python program is meant to do. Andy continued that while it looks simple, this doesn't mean that it's not powerful. Python can use arrays for loops, whiles, ifs and more, plus it functions similar to subroutines and definitions, making it a complete coding base. However, to verify this, one of the tests used by Andy to determine if it was a language that was good enough for you as an IBM I developer to use was with the creation of a porting program that would populate an IFS CSV file with called results from an SQL statement. Andy demonstrated that it was easily done through Python. So with Python, Andy believes that you have a hit. But there's a couple more to investigate, and next on that list was Node.js. This avant-garde open source runtime environment is based on Chrome's version 8 JavaScript engine and is written in JavaScript and C++ and is primarily used for server-side operations. It's different, but with its ability to handle multiple requests at the same time, it's gained popularity within the programming community. Indeed, Andy himself noted that Node is weird, but revised that statement later, saying as he used Node more and more, he found that Node is not so weird, it's just different, not what we're used to. So what makes Node so different? Well, it uses an asynchronous call stack, so instead of waiting for functions to complete after fetching the data, Node.js will run the next request while processing the I/O ones, like fetching data, in the background. This is possible because of callbacks and promises, of which can be nested and queued appropriately, making it a good option for microservice architectures. So due to its architecture, it may be a little while for the average RPGer to get their head around Node, but that doesn't mean that it won't work on IBM I. Indeed, Andy suggested that once you get it, Node.js is quite the powerhouse. In the examples provided, Andy explained that Node provides lots and lots of choices on how you use it. Its flexibility and availability make it a reasonably good choice for development. But when you know what you're doing, Andy says it becomes a very good choice. Finally, Andy discussed the ever-popular PHP, explaining that 79% of websites use PHP in some form due to its power and ability for rapid development and scalability. It's been around on the IBM I since 2002, but became popular when Xen released a licensed version in 2006. It was in 2018, however, that you got the open source community release. All the better. Andy explained that PHP is an interpreted language, so it's simple. You write the code in IFS, press enter, and away it goes. Its rich functionality makes it a great choice for developing GUIs and web pages, and Andy demonstrated that to support this, you can also embed PHP into HTML web pages too. Getting data from the box is simple using PHP. For this, Andy used ODBC using pre-existing IBM packages and an SQL statement, and lo and behold, a CSV was created on execution. So the choice for IBM I development outside RPG was left to the audience, but only Python, PHP and Node.js got the thumbs up from Andy. One of these three, or indeed one of the three that he poo-pooed, will feature in a presentation at the iPower event this summer, and the audience was asked to vote for their preferred choice. It'll be interesting to see which this is. Lunch was next, and I must say that IBM I were fantastic hosts, with an array of tasty treats for the participants. Also on offer at around the same time were sessions on IBM I technology. These included demonstrations of AI, most noticeably on how they can collect and use real-time data for practical, real-world applications. One such demonstration used Spot, the Boston Dynamics robot dog, which, in this example, was used to find, monitor and read analog temperatures and pressure readings and react appropriately. Another was a workshop that demonstrated how artificial intelligence in automated cars could learn how to navigate street layouts, understanding traffic, and, for example, if it was an emergency response vehicle, could get to its destination in the most efficient manner possible. Then there was a display of IBM's Quantum System One, the first circuit-based commercial quantum computer, as well as other IBM innovations and experiences too. The other presentation I wanted to cover during the event was Unleash Your Data, a presentation completed by the IUG committee members. The presentation started with Mike Ryan, IUG's chairperson, who provided the background that everyone within the enterprise wanting ports of data from the IBM I for many different purposes. Reports in spreadsheets, extracts in SQL, for data analysis, you name it, it requires an export. Mike argued that these secondary pools of data aren't needed. You have everything you need on the IBM I for everything you need, keeping and, more importantly, utilizing your enterprise data on the IBM I makes sense. Here, without creating two versions of the truth, you can manage, share, secure, explore, and protect your data without the additional overheads and headaches of additional infrastructure. In fact, Mike said that because of these reasons, centralization could be critical to future success should we keep everything on the one box. But can we actually do it? Well, yes you can, and between the three principles, examples on how you can go about utilizing the IBM I more efficiently were provided. Steve Cast, the marketing director for IUG, was up next and provided an insight into direct access to web services on IBM I. He did this by demonstrating how you can use the geospatial capabilities now built into DB2 to be able to calculate travel distances from positional points, conditioned in this example by postcodes. He then built a web service that allowed the dynamic reporting of these by email. But the key to all of this was the fact that IBM I OS version 7.2 and above, this option to explore data and report on data in more meaningful ways is available to the modern IBM I enterprise without the need to port the data off the box. So it's genuinely good stuff. Steve Bradshaw, IUG's technical director, took to the stage and in his own enigmatic style provided insight into direct access to spreadsheets and cloud databases. Now, normally you perhaps use some middleware or intermediary system to complete this, but using open source on the IBM I, you can port the data direct from a spreadsheet into DB2 and update a file, and the IBM I being the control of these messages. In this live demonstration, Steve had an XLS file residing at a network location. He polled, then directed it to the IBM I with the relevant files updated. This meant that if there are islands of data that people create in spreadsheets and you would like to import and monitor that with some business logic behind it, you can use their spreadsheet as the source of that data. Again, the IBM I remains the control and center of the organization and management of this data. Finally, Mike returned to pull the elements together by providing a modern open source means of managing these processes through workflow. Using a Linux partition on the IBM I demonstration box, Mike used Node-RED to automate processes. Node-RED provided the framework to build a workflow based upon attaching programs within a flow diagram and adding conditions based upon criteria or outcome. It's based on Node.js and comes with a runtime and editor that allows you to graphically place and wire together applications. But the crux of this demonstration was to show that with all the data, information, intelligence centralized on the IBM I, we can utilize, share, manage it better through open source tools that are again on the same box, meaning that your power architecture really does become more powerful. And that's it for this late edition of the March-April IBM I update. For more like this, please do see our blog on the Proximity website. But for now, I am Andrew Nicholson. We are Proximity, the IBM I partners that are in your corner. We'll see you next time.